All right, guys, welcome back. RollPlay Swan Song. Adam, Geoff, and Wheat. You guys have some
Yeah.
business to discuss.
Yeah.
What's the
So
business?
so the with the warbots right on your tail, Alfarius, they fell a bit behind because you're able to move through the crowd, but they're right behind you. You spot Kia, make the dash for it. Kia goes to run. You're both going to get the thing you wanted. Kia, you're going to get some additional amount of safety from the crew, and Alfarius, you're going to get a hold of Kia, because what happens is that at the end of the bridge, when Kia makes a break for it, you manage to catch up with her, and you go to grab her, grab her arm or whatever. And as you yank her back to you, you see across from you, and Kia, you have your back to Alfarius, so you see these two as well. There's two guys. You recognize them right away. They're members of Brother Butler's flock. They're wearing blue jeans and sneakers and white high collar shirts with the button done up. And they're both carrying shotguns. They both have shotguns, and they see you. One of them pulls the shotgun up to point at Alfarius, but Alfarius, you grab Kia. So Kia, you're between these two and Alfarius now.
I grab her then, and seeing these two guys, do I recognize them at all?
No. They just look like.
Then I actually swing her behind me.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think that definitely confuses at least one of them. One guy brings his gun up and says you put her down, and the other one sees you put her behind, and he's kind of confused. And Kia, Alfarius, just suddenly steps in the way. He doesn't recognize these guys. You've seen them before, but yeah, there's just I don't know. Maybe it's not what you expected.
And I think as a fluid motion too, by the way, I swing her behind, my chest pops open, I reach in and grab absolutely nothing. And I look at him and I'm just and my eyes just kind of turn off for a second. I look back at him and I'm close my chest. And then lacking a weapon, I think my eyes just flare up as red as possible to try and look scary.
Yeah. The two of them, one of them's kind of not sure if he wants to point his gun at you. The other one's pointing it at you, and he's you let our sister go. And the other one, I don't think he's gonna hurt her.
Do I know them by name?
Yeah. Their names are Alonzo and Cameron.
As they say that, then I say, they said sister, so I kind of look at them and I say, I have orders to bring her back to the ship. She is not to be harmed. You have my word. But if you stay here, I cannot say the same for you. Not because of me,
and that's when the
because of those.
Yeah, that's when the infantry bots show up. And the guy with the shotgun pointed at you is I don't know who you are, but Kia, who is this cyborg fella? And what are these robots doing here? Brother Butler was worried about you. He said we should come and follow you. We saw you get in trouble.
What were their names again?
Lonzo and Cameron. You're talking to Cameron.
Lonzo, Cameron. Cameron, be calm. I wish for no bloodshed here. Listen, this is our business. If these men will promise not to hurt you, and you will take a message back from me, I will go with them.
They look at each other and they're like, Are you sure, Sister Tyree, you're not being coerced or nothing?
Oh, I am definitely being coerced, but I'd rather talk with these men than to see good people die.
And Cameron's bravely, you see him muster his guts, and he takes a step forward, and he's well, I reckon I should come with you. Then if anything happens, I'd be there. I wouldn't feel right letting you go all alone.
Cameron, it's fine. That sounds like a reasonable request. And I turn to Alfarius and I say, I don't know your name, sir, but do you see this as unreasonable of a request?
The problem is, I think it's more than reasonable. Unfortunately, you just ran away because a man tried to stun baton you to get his way. It's probably best to assume that if you allow any of them to come with us, there will be that bloodshed. And again, it's not my call, but it's probably a good estimate.
Is this about when Eric comes running up, panting and wheezing?
Yeah, it could be. Sure, if you want.
What about the robots, though?
Oh yeah, they're there. They're all
already there.
pointing.
Yeah,
They're all pointing their guns. There's this like standoff on the bridge, and they're all pointing guns at this guy.
It's best
Oh.
to tell them to
If
go
he does-
now.
if he
You
does
trust
anything,
my
you're just
word.
finished.
So maybe you
Full
just see like this weird three-way standoff with Eric approaching, and then it like cuts back to Higgs, and he's just sitting at the thing, going like this, just waiting, like no one's told him
and you're like-
anything.
Yeah, you're completely alone. Like,
and there's just chaos around me. People are screaming, and I'm just like bored sitting at a
there's
table.
three shell casings just sitting on the table, and like just a clear area around you as everybody ran off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Eric kind of walks up like huffing and puffing and saying, oh, maybe instead of taking one of her brothers with us, what if I stayed with them? You know, like collateral or something. Maybe I feel like you guys need to get information from Kia.
I turn to Eric and I say, Eric, I wasn't led on to realize how adorable you actually are, but you think my people could actually use another human being as leverage, as collateral? I don't think you know who we are and what we stand for, and thus I simply deny your request.
Well, you do have
That's
men with
fair.
shotguns looking for you, but I
But yeah,
understand your
okay,
point.
you said you like, you have men with shotguns, and Cameron, he's like, well, what do they say in the Bible? To praise God, but trust the gun. And he
What
like
we
kind of
do-
like hefts it.
To protect ourselves is what any human or alien race would do to protect themselves. What I am simply suggesting is that we would never harm a human being simply for an act of vengeance or revenge. Therefore, I will go with you, but I will request at least one member comes with me, and I am allowed to send Alonzo back with a message to my brother Butler.
It's not my call. You can do both these things. All I can do is warn you that if you bring people involved, you understand there's a good chance that they will end up dead. And it's not that I don't say that because I'm going to want to do that. I say that because it just tends to happen.
It's kind of the way things work out.
Yeah, and Cameron kind of like just like gives a firm nod, and he's like, I'm ready to meet my maker. I fear no god, no cyborg, no robot, no nothing, sir. And if I go to my grave protecting my sister, well, then I'm gonna meet God with a smile on my face.
Interesting, you should say God, cyborg, or sister, but you did not mention crazy captain who has murdered everyone. I believe you to be a brave man, but a stupid one. If you want to come along, I guess, and that is your request, that is fine.
Yeah, he nods. Okay, so I think
I actually ask Alonzo for his compad.
yeah. Alonzo comes over and hands you he hands you the compad, and you can see his hands trembling a little, and he's like, all right, he like mutters to you, he's like, are you sure you're gonna be all right, sister? These men look dangerous.
You have to trust me on this, brother. Now, let me write a message. And I start writing. Basically, my message is to Brother Butler.
Yeah.
And it starts with, I hope you delivered the package as I wished. I'm sure Tito was not happy, but thank you for fulfilling what needed to be done. Tell Tito that I'm pursuing our lead further. In fact, maybe a little further than he is comfortable with. But I must inform both of you that this is not a decision of my own, but a decision made by the new prophet. And I just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah, and he looks at the message and like before it ends, and then he looks at you and he says like he sighs and
Vito.
He looks at Cameron. Yeah, I assumed you meant Vito.
I totally did.
Yeah, that's okay. Your nickname for him. Yeah, and he says, I'll go right back now, and well, we'll pray for you. And he looks at Cameron. He's like, Cameron, you keep her safe. And Cameron like nods seriously. And then I guess Cameron looks at the two of you, Alfarius and Eric, and he's like, well, all right then.
Yeah.
I just, like, friendly police officer, I don't let go of her shoulder, but I walk her. I'm not, like, death gripping or anything like that, but I walk her that way back.
And maybe as we're walking, maybe I actually say something to Alfarius like, I do not believe you're like the other one. I feel like you are good people despite the things that I myself have seen. So I hope you will make sure this crazy captain of yours doesn't impede on what could be beneficial to both of us.
Kind of looking forward, I say, I like to think I'm a good person, but it's important that you understand that I take my job very seriously. While that being said, I believe you to be a good person. Everything I've seen indicates as much, and I will do my best to make sure you get out of this alive. But I have to reiterate, and hopefully the strangeness of this resonates with you. You look exactly like our friend that has gone missing. There is something going on here, and that's why we need you. It's not a question of whether or not you can help us. It's that you will help us.
I just want to know what happened to Piani.
This Piani, I wish to know everything I can the moment that we get back to the ship, and I hope that is our priority. But I maybe should make clear that I am not surrendering myself to you. I am simply seeking the answers that my faith are asking me to seek.
He kind of like for like the first time it's conversation while we're walking, he looks at you and smiles and is like, "Sure thing, lady."
I think Eric just says, I don't really see the difference.
And then I guess I go, yeah.
Yeah, as you're walking, Eric, Cameron says to you, he's like, well, that's a heck of an accent you got, sir. Where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Sigrid.
Kind of like looks at you like, I don't think I know where that is. You got Church as a New Prophet on Sigrid.
No,
Oh, well, that's a shame.
we follow a different religion.
He kind of like thinks about that. It's like, well, I ain't never met anybody from there before, but he like looks you up and down. He's like, you don't look half bad. Kind of gives you a little like punch on the shoulder.
Yeah.
You can see him like he's I don't know, maybe Eric notices, maybe you don't, but he's like shaking a little and he's obviously like terrified. He's just trying to be really friendly and like try to break the tension a little bit.
Yeah. He
I
says,
like this scene with like the stomping robots behind us too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all dressed like Higgs. They're wearing Higgs's clothes.
Yeah.
So it's just this like cadre of like military robots.
Eric just goes, oh, no, I'm not half bad. Maybe only a very small amount bad. 3% bad.
Well, see, that's the thing. Oh, I'm sorry, I never introduced myself, and he like goes to like shake your hand, like while you're walking.
Yeah, I shake his hand.
Yeah,
And my
he's
hand
like,
is significantly larger than his.
yeah. He's like, I'm Cameron.
Hi, Cameron. I'm Eric. It's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. See, that's the thing about being. Would you say 3% bad? Well, we're all a little bad, ain't we? That's what the New Prophet says.
That
Our
makes
Lord?
sense.
He gave his only son because we're so bad. He died for our sins, and so that means we get to go to heaven. Isn't that exciting, Eric?
I'm not certain I understand. You're talking about the new prophet had a son, and then
No, God. See, God had a kid, right? His kid's name was Jesus, and then Jesus got killed by a bunch of bad soldiers, and because of that, we all get pardoned for our crimes here on Earth, as long as we, do what's right.
I think I remember something like that. He was hung on a tree, right?
He shakes his head. He's like, "No, I don't think it was a tree. Gosh, the teachings are complicated, but something bad definitely happened to him."
I mean, this is all within earshot, right? Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is Alonso, and who else was the other guy?
Alonso's gone. Alonso's left. To
Right.
deliver the message.
Cameron.
Yeah. So it's Cameron. Cameron's talking to Eric.
Cameron. With that little curly Q hair.
Yeah.
So I think sort of in a, I don't even like turn back. I just say, Cameron, I'm sure your teachers wouldn't be happy to hear you tell incomplete versions of what we believe.
He looks at you, he's like, shucks, Miss Tyree, you know I'm not so good at remembering those things. Brother Butler were here, he'd tell it right.
He would, but Brother Butler isn't always around. So when we return, I expect that you will do your best to keep up with your studies. And the next time you talk to Brother Eric here, you can give him proper representation of what we believe.
Yeah, and he nods and he's like, well, shucks, Eric, that'd be great if you you wanted to come and talk scripture with me.
Well, that sounds really lovely. I can tell you about my fairy tales too.
And he's like, oh, no, it ain't no fairy tale. It's real. It happened thousands and thousands of years ago, far away from here.
Do you actually believe that?
And he nods, well, of course.
Interesting.
There's a word of God passed down to us over the years and through space.
Well, I don't know. If your God is real and all of that actually happened, then maybe Odin did hang on a tree and have his eye pecked out for the knowledge of the runes.
And you say that and he's like, well, I don't know nothing about no Odin fella, but that sounds awful. I wouldn't want my eye pecked out for nothing. No ruins or anything.
No, runes. It gave him magic powers. It's how he gained knowledge.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, magic! You get magic power from ruins. I think I saw a TV show about that once. It had a knight and a pretty lady wizard on it, and they had these horses. Man, that show was great. I used to watch that all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah. No, our religion is a lot like a really good TV show. There's lots of wars and battles and frost giants and oh, I should tell you about the end of the world sometime.
Right, and so that's perfect. So the two, so now he's just like, wow, that sounds really cool, and it's like you're telling about a movie you saw.
Yeah. And then Fenrir will gallop across the sky and devour the sun.
Awesome. Okay, so it only takes a few minutes by walking, but you come back into the now empty courtyard, and you just see Higgs, sitting at the table. And you start walking over to it. And Higgs, you see them. You see this group plus this like other guy.
So I guess you're not holding Kia by any restraints or anything like that, correct?
I'm just walking her with her shoulder.
Okay. Oh, so you do have her shoulder?
Yeah, but it's not like I'm shoving her forward. I got my hand on her shoulder.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess as I see you guys, I'm just like, who's the straggler? Who the fuck are you?
This is my friend Cameron. He's going to join the cult.
He steps forward and he puts his hand out. And he's like, well, my name's Cameron, sir. We haven't had the pleasure. What's your name?
Why the fuck is Alfarius? Why the fuck is he here?
I just looked down at Kia.
Yeah, and Cameron, I think, tries to answer for himself. He's like, well, I will pardon your language, sir.
Sir. Shut the fuck up or I'm going to shoot you right where you fucking stand.
Mr.
Rude Southern guy, overly polite Southern guy.
Yeah, and I think he recognizes his accent and he's like, he hears you, and I think there's this moment where like you recognize that he's from like the northern part of Asa and you're from the southern part of Asa, and he's just like, oh, you're one of those southern boys. Now I know.
Our daddies fought in the year of 2032.
Yeah, exactly.
Might I remind you that you attempted to hit me with a stun baton to incapacitate me.
Pull out the stun baton and just shock it a couple times.
And kidnap me. You'll understand that when faced with a choice of coming back, I asked Alfarius here for permission to do just this.
I turned to Alfarius. I'm like, you gave her a fucking choice? Are you getting soft on me? Do I need to get some new
security? There's a high probability that if anyone else follows her, that they will die. But please allow me to tell you that it is my assessment that these are actually, and I look right at Cameron, and I'm like, these are very innocent, docile people, and I would ask that you execute your will with a bit more caution, not because we're in danger, but because you could be killing people that otherwise should die at approximately the age of 87, probably in a bed, pissing and shitting themselves because nothing else will come in their way.
I turn to Cameron and say, well, I don't know your name. I'm just like, son, you ever kill anyone?
He's like, well, shucks, no, thou shalt not kill. It's in the basics of the Bible. Of course not. I ain't never killed nobody.
All right, I'm done
I don't
talking.
intend to.
Okay, here's the deal. Look, shut the fuck up. If you bring up religion of any form, and Eric, you know this rule. If you bring up religion of any fucking form on my ship, I will make sure you only see the barrel of a gun right before you die. And it won't you won't, just seconds. You'll say something about God and then you'll die. All right? So don't bring it up. You understand that, son?
Like, zoom a little close to Cameron and I say, it doesn't count if they're fairy tales.
And I think he looks at Cameron, you two share a glance, and he's like, Kia, this man sounds like a Roman.
Don't worry about this man. Let's just do what we came here to do. Now, you keep mistaking me for this peony woman. I wish to know or see proof that she is who you say she is.
All right. Well, we got to go back to the ship. Now, if you do mind or don't mind, I don't really give a fuck, but we're going to have to blindfold you because I don't need you knowing the name of the ship or where it's at because I don't know anything about you. And that seems like the smart thing to do. So,
I'm pretty sure you already said the name of the ship to me when you came in your triumphant entrance.
How far is,
And
can you
she's
play that
Mr.
back?
Higgs.
As she says that. Well, I just look at him like, it doesn't work. And he's like, God damn it, I actually can do that. But I lean into her and I'm like, it's really best that you just go along with this. It's your best chance of being okay. He is erratic because our good friend and his very good friend is missing, and you are our best lead to getting her back. If he says go to the ship, you should go to the ship.
I said
here-
blindfolded, Alfarius, because we got to.
That's fine,
Secrecy. Do you understand what I'm trying to protect the crew? All right, I'm trying to.
I think for fanfare purposes, but also a nod to episode 2, I believe it was, of Star Wars, I actually tear off her midriff portion of her shirt to then create a...
No, that's later. You're going to save it
Blindfold.
for the gladiatorial battle.
Yeah.
Call me a Roman, will you? Feed you the lions.
I'm here, and thus my intentions is that I will go back to the ship. But Cameron is coming with us, and as I mentioned to Alfarius, I'm not surrendering. I am simply volunteering to come and discover more.
When Kia says Cameron is coming with us, Eric actually tears the shirt off at his midriff,
Nice.
his own, and then
Balance it out.
around Cameron's.
So
This is like completely acceptable to affairs.
I just turn around and like start. I would assume the car's still there.
Yeah, I mean, you can call one easily enough.
Yeah, I call 2 cars. Or so Alfaris, can you go ahead and get us 2 cars? And I turn to Cameron and say, Cameron, what is it you're looking to accomplish by being here? I mean, you don't really think that you're going to be defending Kia if we try to attack her, do you?
Well, I hope it doesn't come to that, sir. I mean, Sister Tyree and I, we're peaceful people, and you got nothing to fear from us. But I wanted to bear witness to what went on. So if something bad did happen, well, I would be there for it. I couldn't abide sitting at home by myself thinking she might be in danger.
You realize if something bad happens to her, something bad's going to happen to you, right?
And you see him, he's about to say something, and then he's like trying to think of a way to say it that doesn't contravene the like rule you just made. And he's like, well, if that kind of thing happens, I suppose I just have to be prepared for it, don't I?
I don't you and Eric are going to be really good friends, I believe.
I call a space Uber or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
totally.
we just get the car and they're blindfolded.
Okay, sure. Yeah, you blindfold them, and we cut to the Swan Song. Y'all are getting on board. And so I think you're like untying that's the bookends, right? It's like you tying the cloth around their eyes and then like taking it off when you get on the Swan Song. And Cameron's looking around. He's like, well, heck, this is some kind of thing. I ain't ever been on a spaceship more than 2 times, I think, my whole life.
Kia, come here. Let me show you something. I walk over to the reconstruction of the room.
Okay. Yeah. So you activate the actually, I think you walk in, and Kia, you notice a camera nearby like turn on and point at you and like follow you across the room. And a voice comes on like from nowhere, and it says, "Oh, you found her, Peony. I'm glad you're safe."
Pi, this is Kia. Kia Tyree, I believe. Is that correct, ma'am? This is not Peony. It looks very similar, but it's not, unfortunately.
I don't understand.
We don't either. That's why we're trying to figure it up. Can you fire up the hologram thing, please, so we can get to the bottom of this as fast as possible?
No. Who is this?
Pi?
I'm sorry. Is this
This is Higgs' worst day ever.
computer?
Yes, it is. Just think of
And-
it as God. Does that make it a little easier?
The computer believes I am Peony.
Yes.
Very well. Computer, can you show me a picture of this Peony?
No.
All right. Look.
You'll notice she hasn't cursed in this entire time that
Well-
you've seen her. You know that's not Peony.
Also, her accent is different. Also, different
Higgs.
hair, different clothes.
I believe your computer is broken, Higgs.
I swear to fucking God, this is the dumbest day I've ever lived before. And it's been 48 hours. It's really 2 days if you think about it. Pi, what the fuck is the issue? All right, we're trying to figure out where Peony's at because you
See,
lost
what other
her.
shit does Higgs not like that
All
I
right.
could just throw into this episode?
Yeah, I'm just like,
That's when High Beam calls him, "Hey, your payments due."
Actually, there's this thing. You everybody on the planet suddenly gets a weird virus, and suddenly you all have French accents now. So
Bonjour.
I cannot believe it.
It's
Great.
very good.
so yeah, I'm just like, Pi, please, I'm trying to clean up your mistakes. All right, can you just turn on the hologram? I don't want to do this right now. I'm trying to fix things. All right.
and we're just seeing like you and Kia reflected in the camera, and Pi says, yeah, Pi says to you, Kia, I'm going to show you something. This is the last time that I saw someone very, very important to me. I think you're connected. Pay close attention. And you see a hologram, basically like a green light skeleton of the hallway leading to your dorm room appear. And I think you're standing face to face with like a hologram, a flickering hologram of basically yourself, different hair, slightly angrier looking. This hologram version of you has seen some shit. And then she's like with a robot, and they're walking down the hall of your dorm, and they open the door, and then the hologram like flickers out.
I think Eric probably like pulls up his data pad and like has some photos of Peony on there, and that he just sort of flips through.
Yeah. I maybe like,
Oh, here she is playing that game that Pi likes.
I think at this point I have like the act of being a badass just falls. I look devastated and just like look at the ground and be like, see, this is what we've been working with, ma'am. You understand the issue now? You can see the resemblance of how that looks pretty much like you, only you're slightly hotter.
Somewhere in a crystal prison in
so
the other end of the
actually-
universe, Peony.
I need my techs. In fact, I need all of them and a place to work on this ship.
They're both way more attractive than Frick's, though. She was fat.
I look and say, your texts, are these your own? Can we just get these from our... What are they? When you say text, what are they? I'm sure we can just get them.
Mr. Higgs, what explanation do you have for a woman who looks nearly identical to myself that happens to be connected in one way, shape, or form? What do you make of this series of events?
Cloning. There's probably multiple versions of you out there, and we found 2 of them. Some psychic bullshit thing. Someone's playing a real trick on me. I'm dreaming. I've got a couple hypotheses.
You might be very drunk.
Cameron says, he's like, Mr. Higgins, you're overlooking the most obvious solution to this whole problem.
I might be drunk. This idiot's still talking to me for some reason, so that's frustrating me.
He shakes his head and he holds Kia. He like holds your hand and like looks at you, Higgs, and very sternly he's like, "Well, it's divine providence."
I just say, Kia, where the fuck are these books? These texts, whatever the fuck you called them.
They're back at the chapel.
Are these specific to you, or again, we've got a computer here that can just. Pi, how many texts do you have on record right now? Just give me a number, Pi.
Just any number at all.
No, the number of the text, Pi. I'm saying the number related to the amount of text that we have, so that we can impress this lady.
Oh, 2,000.
2,000 texts, ma'am.
That's a big number.
That's. Man, what's the name of the book?
Do you have texts related to the New Prophet Christian movement?
I have several, and my name is Pi.
Pi meet Kia meet Pi. Cameron hears too, but he's not important.
I'm sorry. Do I understand that you've named your computer?
You're gonna learn a couple. You're gonna learn a couple things, Kia. And first one is that this is not just a computer. It's a thing. Some might even say it's a young adolescent right now, really, if we were to...
I think Cameron scowls and shakes his head, and he's like, he says something that sounds like obviously out of like a scripture. He's like, that thou shalt not treat a computer as a man. Thou shalt not give providence to artificial life, something like that. Like he just mutters it to himself and like squeezes your hand, Kia.
I think maybe I say, well, it seems like not all of your teachings have fallen short. In fact, he's absolutely correct. What can have a soul in which has never lived? But anyway, I won't judge you on your beliefs and your feelings. I need these texts. Can you have them sent down to me to a terminal that I can study?
Yeah,
we can have one set up in the cargo bay.
Yeah, we'll just build here, and I hand her my compad. Like this will work.
Did this Peony have a room?
Yeah, I'm sorry, ma'am, you're not allowed in there.
Well, you mentioned to me that Peony was a source of visions that seemed to be similar to mine. Perhaps that would help discover the secret to these visions by me just occupying the same space.
Ma'am, logic says that if you have these dreams or whatever the fuck these things are, that you can have them anywhere. I'll allow you to see them. I'm just not allowing you in that room. All right? That's just something you're going to have to deal with.
I don't understand. Don't you want answers, Mr. Higgins?
I would love answers, ma'am, but that's not going to get you any. If you need these texts, we'll get you these texts. I don't see how this helps me at all, but if your mumbo jumbo is going to somehow give you ease of mind, then by all means.
Maybe one of us should hang on a tree.
If Mr. Higgins, perhaps, well, I feel like I've been very clear with my intentions, but maybe I've been wrong in not asking what yours are. I understand that you care deeply for this woman Peony, but it also seems like you will not go to any length in order to discover what has happened or what is happening.
At this point, I just kind of like look at you and cock my head. Then I think I just like punch you. I just punch you like straight in the face and say, you come in my ship to say that I don't have any fucking means or want to find this woman. I haven't slept in 48 hours, ma'am. I don't even know why the fuck I'm talking to you. Typically, you'd be bound to a chair and I'd have a fucking gun at your head or a knife somewhere on your body, slicing you up and getting real information. Instead, I'm talking about some fucking sacred text so you can learn more about God and be at peace with yourself and listen to this fucking idiot over here be just like Eric, but with a voice that sounds kind of nice. And I kind of like that. All right? I kind of like that.
So when you, I guess, so Kia, when Higgs takes a swing at you, do you like? I mean, I don't imagine you expect to get hit in the face. you know, like, I mean, you're a pretty athletic person, but like, does it connect, or do you like what does that look like? I'll let you decide whether he like drops you to the floor or like what that's like.
So it's actually not so much a punch and like an open hand slap.
Yeah, it's a hit me in the face.
Kind of shocking because I'm like, wow, there's actually been like sorority girls that have hit me harder than that.
I have a +1 in
So-
unarmed combat. It's not a slap.
He's trained.
I'm trained in unarmed combat. Do I need to remind you of the fucking classic prison scene where Wilbur Higgins III decided to be a fucking badass?
So you get punched, but like, I mean, I think you've taken a hit before, right? You're pretty tough. But Cameron like interposes himself between the two of you, and he like stares you down, Higgs, and he's like, Mr. Higgins, are you a servant of the devil, sir?
You're damn right I am. I fucking love the devil. All right, I am the goddamn devil. Now get the fuck out of the way so we can get her the goddamn text so you guys can move on and do whatever the fuck you're doing here.
And he turns around to look at Kia, and he's like, these are bad men, and this is a bad place, sister.
It might cut to Alfarius's vision, and there's just like a percentile on the lower right-hand side of his vision. It was like 48, 54, 60.
% chance this guy will die.
Yep. He's just watching.
Yeah, and Cameron looks a little shaken, but he's like, whatever happens, sister, I'm here with you, and by God, I will stay here until whatever it is you need to do gets done.
Kia, you better do this real quick. Camera's starting to piss me off.
And then he kind of like looks over his shoulder at you. So what do you want to do, Kia? What's the plan here? It looks like Higgs is going to give you some space to do what you need to do.
So before I like jump into what I think Kia is kind of thinking, I need to ask a few more questions about the visions.
Okay, ask away.
Can you give me some indication of what Piani's visions were about?
Well, I mean, that's where it gets a little bit lengthy, I guess you could say. I mean, where to start? Well, it'd probably be best if you tell me a random vision of yours, and I'll see if there's a correlation.
So, you know, maybe I start recapping some of my visions from my perception. And actually, I don't know if I know all of what that is, but I know that I've seen various sort of displacements of the actions of the Swan Song. But Adam, maybe you can give the full breakdown here.
Yeah, I mean, you've had dreams. Like, it only happens when you're sleeping. Yeah, you've had dreams about, like, nightmares about, like, being trapped on a ship with a bunch of, like, insane people, and like you've seen the worst version of various things that the crew has done.
The darkest timeline of the Swan Song.
Yeah, and it's never in a heroic light. Like, even actions that were kind of inarguably heroic, they have appeared to you to be the acts of madmen and murderers. And you know for certain, like when you awake, that these are visions from God, you know, that God has shown you the dark place that you're going to have to go, that it's part of God's plan for you. And so while throughout this whole thing, there have been moments of surprise, there's also this sense of like foreboding and kind of like you know that this is where you were supposed to be, right? You've been drawn to this place by God. And it's like Jesus in the desert. You just have to, like, you know, say, "Get thee behind me, Satan." But you have to be present. You have to go through this. You know, I think it really, any given thing, there's sort of the Rashomon effect, right? Where you could be like, "I saw what you did in the desert with those bug aliens. I know about the woman." Like, you don't have proper nouns and stuff, but you could describe things that are intimate events.
No, actually, I end it with, "And I saw you kill Randy."
Got
and
him.
I actually know his name.
Yeah.
Because he's fucking named
Randy Savage.
It's the only person that I know of that, of like, his name was on his shirt.
That's right, Saint Randolph the martyred.
Yeah.
But yeah, in your version of that, yeah, Randy was just like a guy trying to help out his friend, and the betrayer turned on him. But yeah, like, and I think that the crew, like Kia, rattles off a couple of stories, and like you wouldn't tell it exactly that way. It's like when you're having an argument with somebody, and they're like, "You were such an asshole at that party," and you were like this and like that, and you're like, "That's not my tone of voice." But it's like that, like, but the details are accurate, right? You're like, "Oh, that actually happened."
It's like that time that you bartered with a devil to destroy a planet.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
I talk about the time when I saw someone die on the stairs, or of a man that is not with the crew?
Yeah, I mean, you've been having these dreams for a year, right? And like, there's a broad variety. You don't always remember every detail, but you have like sharp images. You have things that you remember. And I think that all of you, I guess, how do you react? Like, what's after Kia finishes, like, I was there when this happened. I remember, like, I had a dream about this. Like, what's the reaction of the crew? Are you looking like unsettled or?
Higs, I'm just smiling.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Adam.
Yes.
In Eric's brain, because of his psychic researcher background, he's thinking like all the stuff that Kia is describing. There are things that Piani saw. Like, have I ever heard of some sort of psychic entanglement where two people can be like seeing?
Well, make a fucking roll, dude.
Roll that shit.
You can make a Psytech roll, or you can make.
That's gonna be Psytech.
I mean, it feels like Psytech. There's no like psychic theory roll, but yeah, make an intelligence-based Psytech roll.
Am I assisted for being right?
No. I will give you a situational advantage though for being.
Nailed it.
Doesn't matter.
So
Right.
you get,
I got a 10.
In your face,
nice.
Adam.
good work.
Ah!
I gotta give up all the cool stuff I've been making up. Oh no.
Totally. Oh,
Okay, so there's some theories. They're generally discounted because the science doesn't really like match up on the physics end. But there's some theories that think that particularly talented psychics don't so much like, you know how sometimes like Piani has been able to use her psychic ability to choose between two outcomes. There are some people who think that that's not about seeing the future so much as it is moving from one reality to another. So being able to be like, I'm going to die in this reality. Let me go and be in a different one where I don't die. Right. So there's this theory, it's again, kind of considered like a little weird, but there's this theory that there are like multiple layered realities and that powerful psychics move between them instead of like, there's causality in every reality, but you move if you don't like the reality you're in. So yeah, I mean, there is some possibility buried in the back of your head. You're like, I wonder that Kia and Piani are the same person in two different realities, and somehow shit's gotten fucked up that they're both in the same place. They've been entangled into the same like causal stream.
And like we confirmed earlier that they have the exact same fingerprints and everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
weird quantum mechanical, but the physics doesn't bear out, right? Like they shouldn't be able to coexist, but then also Piani's not around. So
Right. Yep. Where they're not coexisting theoretically. Okay. So like Eric hears Eric hears Kiani describing this. and like all of a sudden he like flashes back to some lecture in Hoveda, and like, you know, the prayer call is sounding outside the windows and the professor is droning on, and he's sort of like half asleep because he was like up drinking late last night or something like that. But like, even though he didn't really pay attention at the time, it comes back to him like bam, and it like snaps back into the present moment. He says, Kia, I think, and then he goes to the pack in the corner of the room and he pulls out one of the crystals. He says, I think you and I should take a look at these. And he holds up one of the crystals that he found.
No.
Ruined.
I gotta veto the fuck out of that. All right. Now, Eric, I'm sure you had this dream, if that's what I think you just heard the stories of the best group in the fucking universe. But the last time you had one of those, you blew up the fucking ship.
No, Higgs, wait, listen. When I teleported with this, I went into another dimension. That's how I teleport. I bore a hole. It's almost like a mini hyper jump, except it's different. But anyway, there's another dimension, and the crystals are unstable. And so when it detonated in that other dimension, because of its instability, it caused an event that was similar to the scream. But these crystals are clearly dimensionally resonant. And if that's what teleportation does to them, it's possible that precognition functions with them differently, and that they might be the key to unlocking and untangling the realities that we are caught up in.
So wait, I didn't understand a fucking thing you said, but the gist of it is that when Peony walked into this room, if a crystal was there, it could have triggered another event.
Well, yes, I suppose that's possible.
So someone set us up.
I suppose that's also possible. The growth of the crystals and the fact that we didn't see them in the video makes me believe that I would rather think that the crystals are a natural phenomenon occurring as a result of what happened rather than the cause of it. But you see, Higgins, there's a theory that when precognitives predict the future, they don't actually see the future, but they see realities and move themselves into a different and more preferable reality. And possibly we've moved into one that contained two peonies, and it has collapsed, and now there's only one, but it's just not our peony.
I just look really directly at Eric and just don't say anything. And so after about 5 seconds, if no one else says anything, I'm just like, so what you're saying is she's gone.
Well, if she disappeared, there's got to be a way to get her back.
I don't understand how someone just has these crystals in a room. That's not did you have these crystals in your room, Kia?
No, they were growing out of the walls and shit, right? All along the hallway, all through the room. They had
we never saw the actual inside of the room until after all the shit happened with Peony.
Yeah. But also, we don't know if the crystals were in there, but we also know that the crystals were not in the hallway prior to the event. And then when we got there, they were growing out of everywhere.
Correct. And there's only one place in the entire sector these crystals come from, right? They're only found on Kamna. So having them growing naturally here doesn't make any fucking sense at all.
Yep.
Would in response to this, this is foreign to me, right? Unless there's something.
Oh yeah, you don't know anything about the official stance of the Church of the New Prophet is that multidimensional extroversion syndrome is a condition that some humans have, and it's part of God's plan, and it's just a natural thing, the ability to speak or hear or see. It's not divine or demonic. It's just a product of the body. But you don't have MES, and you don't know really that many.
Right.
You know one person who does.
So the crystals,
But all this crystal stuff is
fall on deaf. Right. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, by the teachings, as you're listening to this, right, the new prophet says that there are many places where things happen, right? There's God's heaven, and there's earth, and there's hell, and there's purgatory, right? There are places you can go that are not these worlds. Maybe this Peony person, maybe she's in hell now, or maybe she's trapped in purgatory or something. But the cosmology you apply to it is a very kind of stringently Christian cosmology, right? It's
right.
If someone is not here on Earth, they're in one of those other places. Their immortal soul has gone somewhere else.
Okay. So then I just continue to listen in on the conversation.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at that point, I'm questioning Kia. I'm just man, these crystals, if they do something big, have you...
I know
why
nothing
the fuck why were they in your room, Kia?
I do not have the answers you seek.
Do you have enemies on this shithole?
I think I can kind of think long and hard about it. Well, I suppose everyone has enemies. Yes, I'd be lying if I said no.
Do you have anyone that would have the resources to obtain a crystal from only one place in this fucking universe?
I'm sorry, Higgs, but the crystals fall. I do not know what these crystals are or what they represent. To me, they are just beautiful works of art.
Wait, so you know what they are? You collect these crystals as art? Is that what you're saying?
I've only seen what Eric has shown me and what I've seen on the surveillance footage.
Eric, what do you want to give her a crystal for? And first of all, you're not holding it. We'll get Alfarius to hold it.
Yeah, I just like give it to Alfarius. It's not that I want to give it to her, but well, if these crystals are resonantly linked with multi-dimensions, the way that I think that they are from my past experience with them, and if Peony, being a powerful precognitive, triggered the growth of these crystals as a result of being in this universe where there are two versions of Peony, then as the crystals are possibly linked to Peony and possibly linked to multi-dimensions, it's possible that there are experiments we could perform to access the resonance of the crystals and snap ourselves or Peony back into the correct universe. This is deeply theoretical.
Well, we're not doing that on the ship. I'm laying that out there right now. All right.
I think we would, in fact, need a more advanced psychic laboratory than the ship currently possesses.
Gotcha.
As he hands me the crystal, by the way, a second percentile starts to grow on the left side of my vision. 50. And you can just hear, it's through Alfarius' vision, but you can just kind of hear him sigh. She's like,
I turn to Kia and say, now, Kia, when did you start having these dreams of us? How long ago? You said a year? Do you remember the exact date?
Yeah, about a year, as far as I know.
Pi, where were we a year ago? Were we even a thing?
Pi says, well, just over a year ago we met. Yes. Prior to that, based on my records, January last year. That's the beginning of the ship's log. I don't see anything earlier than that.
Captain's log.
Captain's log. I'm drunk as fuck right now.
Yeah. I'm bored on
I
my
got a
ship.
spaceship, motherfucker. I'm drunk. What?
Yep.
I guess I would actually give up some information to say, Higgins, I'm sure you'll understand the visions weren't clear at first. I didn't know if I was simply having nightmares or if any of it was connected. But when I began to see the same demon, the same crew over and over again.
No, stay with Demon. It helps. You'll come to realize I like the ego boost.
That was when I realized that there was something more than just a simple nightmare. And of course, when I saw you and your gang on campus, that is when I realized what I've been experiencing for approximately a year has indeed been visions of you and your crew. I find it interesting, based off of what Eric has said, that I've yet to see a vision of this Peony.
That stood out to me as well. That's why I believe that it's possible you were in fact seeing through her eyes in your visions.
Perhaps seeing Peony's visions might help me understand or even verify whether or not Peony was looking through my eyes.
See, here's the question. I don't think what Peony was seeing has happened. And Eric, it actually pertains to your whole mumbo jumbo on your side of the crazy spectrum. Because she saw a bunch of crazy fucking Norse shit. I mean, it's all over her fucking journals. There's people falling from the sky. There's just people being murdered. There's people hanging from trees.
Sounds Norse.
I feel like
I didn't
with
make any
Peony
sense
gone,
of it.
there's a curse quota that we have to hit.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hitting the curse quota.
That's how he deals with her.
I'm just.
Gone.
I turn to Key and say, if you haven't had any of this. You don't believe in any of this.
My visions have certainly been visions of a grim future. Don't let me misrepresent what I've seen, but perhaps none of that matters. Perhaps you'll give me permission to look through Miss Piani's logbook.
Yeah, well, you can have full access. It's not an issue. Already, sure. We'll get it set up here.
Okay.
I'll bring you the logbook. In fact, I'll go here. I just like pull it out of my back pocket and hand it to you.
Chapter 1. Higgs is a dick.
Yeah. In fact, that
Very well.
it is the sense of like handoff where like I hold it up in the air and just like stare at it, and then I just like slowly pass it over. Be like, I want that back when you finish.
Yes, I would like to do research.
Okay. So you wanna spend some time with the logs?
There's two things I would like to do. I would like to search for the text through the text, to see if I can find anything that would be a similarity between, or an explanation or a story that relates to two beings being in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing I would like to do is review Piani's journal.
Okay. All right. So you can make a culture roll, I guess, if you want to kind of tap into kind of what you already know about, because you're searching for like parables, right? I guess it would be.
Is it not a religion roll?
Yeah, it'd be religion.
Do I have
Yeah,
the
yeah.
text?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Since I haven't seen Piani's vision book before, I'd also kind
Her
of
dream journal.
Yeah, to like hang around with Kia and like help, but also to look at the visions.
It's a 10 on that religion roll.
Boom. Kia Tyree with the bomb ass religion skill checks. Okay. So just kind of like searching your memory, like taking some time to actively like make some mental connections. I feel like there probably isn't in the like the New Prophet scriptures, at least there isn't any kind of there isn't any like stories about two people who are one person. Like when you're born, God and the New Prophet give you a soul, and you safe keep that soul until you die, and then that soul goes to heaven if you're a good person, it goes to hell if you're not. But there are some other similarities in kind of like the stories that they've been telling. The New Prophet acknowledges that there are other worlds than this, and that the soul is all that matters, and that you're not, crude flesh, but just a vessel for your luminous being that moves between realms. And for you, like the way this is that when you die, your soul leaves your body and goes to heaven. But sometimes the soul gets lost, right? Sometimes the soul spends time in limbo, and sometimes the soul goes to other places. And what becomes concerning to you as you sort of think this over is that if this Piani pick person is real, and if her body is gone, you can't destroy a soul. The soul is immortal. It's the gift that God gave you. It has to be somewhere, and if it's in heaven, it would be wrong to like bring it back, right? Because that's where she deserves to be. But if it's in hell, it's not your job to bring it back either. It's very concerning, I think, from a sort of Christian perspective, that these people are fiddling with the idea of bringing a soul back from its final resting place, whatever that might be.
Right. Now, how would I believe MES potentially factoring into any of this?
Well, I mean, I don't think you know much about it. You know that some people are gifted by God, and that that gift is sometimes a curse, and that people need to work through that, and with time and help from the church. Like the church actively welcomes people with MES to help them deal with their spiritual problems, it can do all kinds of things, right? God works in mysterious ways. So sometimes,
right.
Sometimes people have strange, confusing stuff happen to them, and it's usually explained away as like it's not miraculous. It's a biological thing that people can do, right?
So
you're not a saint or a devil just because you have MES.
I think like as I'm reviewing these texts, like that's sort of the philosophy of like this isn't right. Like what they want to do is right. But what I keep coming back to in my own theology is like, but I had these visions about them, and that has to mean something. Whether I am here to save these individuals or I am here to save this woman, like there is a connection that I cannot deny. And so
Yeah.
I just kind of like, I think, complete my study of the text with sort of that feeling like, you know, I don't know what they're doing and I'm a little cautious about it, but
Well, and that part is a lot more certain for you. And you and Brother Butler have had these conversations before. That there are lots of times in the histories of your, you know, the new prophet, where people are given visions by God. The new prophet himself gets the message straight from God's mouth, right? That's why he's the fucking prophet. And there's lots and lots of times where like other people have seen visions, all the way back to like the burning bush, right? Like it's never been a question for you. Brother Butler has had conversations with his sort of higher ups, and they all kind of agree that your dreams mean something and that they're visions from God, even though they might be terrifying. But
Right.
like facing down your demons is kind of like a thing that you have to do. And you know, now you're kind of standing in this place where you're coming face to face with your destiny, basically, terrifying though it might be.
right.
Personal demons.
The other thing is, you know, the new prophet Christian movement is based off of a series of broadcasts that, you know, hit the airwaves, and there's a lot of belief put on these broadcasts and what they said and who is giving them. And so, you know, a part of that also is like a sort of a driving factor of like, this could lead me to understand more.
Yeah, definitely. Despite the sense of fear that you have, you're definitely like, you know, that you are a lamb among lions, but this is the place to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think I complete my research, and I don't know if anyone is there or, you know, what.
Yeah. So while
I'd be there.
this is happening.
I think we'll take a break and we'll find out what everyone else is up to.
Oh,
Because we're a little
Sure.
bit over.
Okay.
So let's do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, sounds good.
Cool. All right. We'll take our second break. Still 2 hours left to go. We'll come back and find out what everyone else has been up to on the Swan Song right after this. We'll see you guys then.